What if I told you that the borders of Africa were not created by Africans? That in 1884, powerful European nations gathered in one room and divided an entire continent without a single African present. This was the Berlin Conference, and it changed Africa forever. Before the Berlin Conference, Africa was not a blank space waiting to be claimed. It was a continent filled with kingdoms, empires, cultures, and systems of governance. From the Mali Empire to the Zulu Kingdom, Africa was organized, structured, and thriving. But everything changed in the late 19th century. Europe was entering the Industrial Revolution. Factories were growing, production was increasing, and with that came one major problem. They needed resources. Africa had what they needed: gold, rubber, ivory, land, and more importantly, cheap labor and new markets. European powers began to compete, racing to control parts of Africa. This period became known as the Scramble for Africa. As more countries rushed into Africa, tensions began to rise. Britain, France, Germany, Portugal, Belgium, all wanted a share. Conflicts were inevitable, and Europe feared that competition in Africa could lead to war among themselves. So instead of fighting, they decided to negotiate. In 1884, German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck invited European powers to Berlin. 14 countries attended the meeting. But here's what makes it shocking. No African leader was invited. No African voice was heard. Yet, the future of Africa was being decided. During the conference, European powers agreed on how to divide Africa among themselves. They created rules for colonization and began drawing borders, but these borders were not based on culture, language, or history. They were based on convenience. Straight lines were drawn across maps, splitting tribes, merging enemies, and ignoring realities on the ground. Africa was carved up like a piece of land, without considering its people. Britain took control of large areas including Egypt, Nigeria, and South Africa. France dominated West Africa. Belgium, under King Leopold II, took control of the Congo, one of the most brutal colonial regimes in history. Germany and Portugal also claimed territories. Within a short time, almost the entire continent was under European control. The consequences were devastating. Africans lost control of their land, their resources, and their freedom. Colonial rule brought exploitation, forced labor, and violence. Entire communities were disrupted, traditional systems were broken, and artificial borders created divisions that still exist today. Many of Africa's modern conflicts can be traced back to decisions made during the Berlin Conference. But Africa did not accept this without resistance. Across the continent, leaders and communities fought back, from Ethiopia's victory at Adwa to resistance movements across West and Southern Africa. Africans stood against colonization, but the odds were heavily against them. Today, the borders created in Berlin still shape Africa. They influence politics, economies, and conflicts. The Berlin Conference was not just a meeting, it was a turning point. A moment when a continent's future was decided without its people. They divided a continent without permission.